This is KGW News at noon.
Yeah, this is a crazy story in itself because it not only went through two houses but hit a car, it went through shrubs and all that, all wrong side of the road. So yeah, this is kind of insane.
Yeah, a crazy sequence of events involving a truck that plowed through this Vancouver neighborhood. It went through yards, it ran into a car, and as that neighbor just mentioned, it eventually crashed into two homes. Welcome to the news at noon. I'm Drew Carney. Police say it is just plain luck that nobody was hurt when all this happened yesterday morning. KGW's Alma McCarty talked to some people who live in that neighborhood and are now dealing with the damage.
Day one of cleanup and repairs at this home on McGillivray Boulevard continues well into the evening.
Fix the walls and put a new garage door and clean up, put some new siding on it.
A disaster restoration company now tasked with hauling away this debris following a startling crash.
Yeah, this is a crazy story in itself because it not only went through two houses but hit a car, it went through shrubs and all that, all wrong side of the road. So yeah, this is kind of insane.
On Monday morning, Vancouver police got several calls about a dark green truck driving erratically in the Cascade Park area. Officers say callers reported the truck speeding, driving the wrong way, and nearly hitting pedestrians.
It was completely unexpected.
All that before the truck came crashing into not one, but two houses. One of the homes belongs to Tom Smith.
It came through 3 yards. And I could hear it like literally, trailing through everything, and it exploded into my house. I mean, it felt like a bomb went off. And so my wife and I came running out and saw that the car was literally, lodged into our house.
The driver also smashed part of a retaining wall and hit a parked car, moving it out of the driveway.
To see him go, through almost 4 yards with the gas pedal all the way down is just, it was terrifying.
Police say the suspect managed to crawl out the passenger side window and briefly hid under the truck before he was taken into custody.
My kids weren't home today. Luckily, they were with their grandparents, so thank goodness, because that would have been really traumatic. But my dogs were in the garage when the car came barreling in, and it scared them to death. The little chihuahuas, they were a little bit scared.
Many on this block are still recovering from the shock. Other than the suspect, who was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, no one was hurt.
I do hope he's okay in the weirdest way. I'm not happy with him, but I don't think anybody in this neighborhood is, because it's a very safe neighborhood,
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, this next story also happened in Vancouver, but this was a hit and run that wound up deadly. This surveillance video shows a stolen Ford F-150 go through a red light and hit a gray car at Northeast Highway 99 and 88th Circle. A few moments later, from another angle, you're going to see the suspect running away from the truck and another man chasing after him. So the driver of the gray car that was hit, 52-year-old William Stevens, later died at the hospital. This crash happened right in the middle of the day on Sunday afternoon. Anyone who saw it happen or has information about it should call the Clark County Sheriff's Office. This next story is about a recent report from the American Bar Association that shows Oregon is in desperate need of more public defenders. KGW's Devin Haskins gives us a look at just how serious this situation is.
It's a problem the state has known about for years and has tried in the past to get funding for. Oregon's public defense system is a state agency that contracts with nonprofits and attorneys with each county. Those needing their help aren't able to hire an attorney of their own because they simply can't afford one.
The report was requested and funded by the legislature and was released on Friday. It shows the state's public defense system is overworked and severely understaffed. Currently, there are 592 full-time public defenders, and at the current levels, an attorney would need to work 26 hours a day to provide effective assistance. The report says Oregon would need to hire almost 1,300 more public defenders to cut down on the workload. The Oregon Public Defense System's executive director says it'll take more money and time to fix the problem, and he says it's only going to get worse before it gets better as attorneys and investigators leave because of burnout and low pay.
So that's creating a downward spiral where they're leaving and we keep going downward. And what we need to do is reverse that spiral so we can increase the pay, keep folks in the system, attract new folks into the system so that we can reduce the workload, and that'll create an upward spiral.
Christine Breton is a public defender from Multnomah Defenders Incorporated and says this report is heartbreaking, but also vindicating. She says it proves to the state just how overworked and understaffed the profession is.
And as you pick up more and more cases, it becomes harder and harder to resolve any cases because the more clients you have, the harder it is to spend a lot of time on any one case. And so it becomes a lot of trying to manage so many cases that it slows down all of your cases from resolving, and you're picking up more cases as this happens, and it just kind of keeps on continuing.
The state has tried to get the department funding in the past. Most recently, in 2019, the legislature passed emergency funding that would have sent $20 million to the agency. But then the pandemic happened, and that money was pulled back as the state started cutting back on spending. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
All right, we have a few local COVID headlines to get to this afternoon, starting near the Oregon coast, where the All-C School District could face fines over its new optional mask policy. The district superintendent says it's time to let students, parents, and teachers make the decision if they want to wear masks or not, but that decision could come with a hefty price tag. Aaron Corvin with OSHA says they issued a $420 citation to the school district back on January 4th for not following the state's mask rules. And Corvin also says OSHA has received several complaints about the district, but the superintendent says he's still not worried.
I'm not concerned about that because I'm comfortable. A lot of my colleagues will be. I mean, they're threatening my license. You know, that's fine.
OSHA didn't say if or how the district could be fined in the future, but the superintendent says the district will appeal any fines it receives, and it's also prepared to pay those fines if necessary. All right, some news from Pfizer. Pfizer has a new study underway to test an Omicron-specific COVID vaccine. They're comparing the original vaccine to one that's been tweaked to now deal with this dominant Omicron variant. Most people in the study are already vaccinated, so they'll get a booster shot using this new vaccine. Other volunteers, though, are completely unvaccinated, so those people will get 3 doses of this new vaccine. Pfizer says their original vaccine still offers good protection against severe COVID illness and death. Studies have also made it clear that adding a booster shot will strengthen your protection. Meanwhile, University of Washington researchers have developed what they call a groundbreaking new COVID-19 test. They're calling it the Harmony COVID-19 test. Researchers say it can detect COVID in less than 20 minutes, and it's as accurate as tests that are processed in medical labs and hospitals. They hope these tests can be available soon in clinics, workplaces, and schools all around the world. A new form of COVID has been detected in Washington. Researchers are calling it BA2. Now, it's not a new variant, but rather a subvariant of Omicron. So far, it's been detected in 40 countries with 2 cases in Washington. Testing facilities are seeing a rise in this new subvariant, but since it's so new, they still don't know a lot about it. People in Oregon and Washington are getting much needed COVID tests from state health agencies right now, but they're receiving them in different ways. So let's start with Washington. Washington is partnering with Amazon to deliver free tests to people's homes. And over the weekend, 96,000 households got those tests. But because of high demand, Washington's inventory is currently out of stock. The state does expect more tests, though, will soon become available.
Supply will be limited and will restock as additional tests come into the state.
In Oregon, state health officials are not widely distributing free COVID tests. Instead, the Oregon Health Authority says it's focusing on equity. It's giving tests to local public health agencies, Native American tribes, hospitals, and schools for those associations to distribute themselves. Oregon is also running a dozen high-volume testing and vaccination sites right now, and that includes this new one at the Portland Expo Center, which the state just took over from OHSU. All right, time to join Rod Hill in the Weather Center. Rod, if you look outside our windows here downtown, it looks fantastic outside, but I know there are still areas that are socked in by fog.
Yeah, I have a big window right here, so I'm like, Portland has been one of the sunny jackpots right since the sun came up this morning. So the best way to track low cloudiness, you remember, is a good old-fashioned visible satellite picture put on a black background, which is what we have right here. So with the temperature inversion pattern, you often get these low fog areas that just get locked for days and days and days. And one of those areas is often the Columbia Basin up in the eastern and central portions of Washington, Pendleton here in Oregon, back into the Dalles, which is what we have. This is actually spilling down into parts of central Oregon and into the Hood River Valley. Portland down into Salem. Yeah, Salem cleared out. Yesterday it was only 39 for you folks. I'm sure you're happy to see some sunshine. The cloudiness really has broken until you get down close to Eugene, but you get just north of the Columbia River up into parts of Clark County and up in the, Longview, and there are other areas of cloud cover. Here's how cloudy it is from the Oregon Veterans Home camera in the Dalles. You're at 38 degrees. By the time you get into Hood River, it's only 32. Here's Lewis River Golf Course up in Woodlands. So that, again, is a cloudy spot to the north. But you drop south, Yamhill County, Stoller Family Vineyards Estate, beautiful sunshine. Portland's the same. We're at 38, 46, 47 for a high today. We'll do this again tomorrow, but slowly but surely, we're getting more people getting sunshine. I think that pattern is going to continue in the coming days. Drew?
Rod, we appreciated that presentation so much. We're going to ask more of you. We're going to have more from Rod coming up here in about 6 minutes. But we have this story next here at noon. Washington's Attorney General taking on Google because he says the company is tracking you even if you tell them not to track you. Again, that story in less than 2 minutes.